Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today on Behr Builds Bikes, we're going to be building a Sun Revolutions 7-speed ladies. This one is in mint. It should be a pretty decent build. Hope you'll learn a lot from it, and let's jump right in. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to cut our strap. Take out our seat. And our parts box. Now we'll cut the wheel free from the frame. We'll slide that off. We will lube the seat post tube. We will cut the seat post free from the frame, size our stand to it, and get everything together and up into the stand so we can do the rest of the unpacking. All right, so let's cut our zip ties. Slide the wheel off the end of the crank. Oh, they've zip tied it to the frame. Nice. So our seat post is obviously in our parts box. Along with the rear reflector, pedals, front reflector, reflector mount bolt, seat post, and owner's manual. So first we'll size our post to our clamp so we don't have the weight of the bike. Then we'll grease our seat tube. $5mm bolt. Nice and snug so it supports the weight of the entire bike. Turn the frame around. And we know our clamp is tight enough to hold on to it because we pre-sized it. Now we'll go through the unpacking process, fast forward as usual, and then we'll get into the assembly. So first things first, let's grease our head tube. And get our stem up into there. Make sure everything goes underneath the handlebar. Tuck your quill in. 6mm bolt. Loosen up the front. Turn your bars where you want them. Roughly. You'll wait till you get it on the floor before you actually tighten that completely down, but for now. And then we will open our brake, in case you didn't see that. The brake noodle fits into the saddle. You pull back to where the cable passes through the gap in the top, and the brake will open. Then we can put the front wheel in. This tread doesn't have a forward or reverse, so our tire doesn't have a directional pattern in the tread, so it can go on either way. Just open up the axle nuts so that you can pull the washers out. Slide her up in. Make sure that she's centered in the fork. So that the tread is in line, and then we'll adjust the brakes. Before we put our brakes together, we're going to put our front reflector on so that it's out of the way. I'm going to take the nut off the back. There's 2 washers on there. The first one will go through the front of the reflector. The second one on the back. Put the nut on. Holding on each side with a 10mm, one ratcheting, makes it much easier. Get it nice and tight so it doesn't move around. We'll adjust the angle of the reflector itself once it's on the floor. Run your brake cable underneath. Put it back in the stirrup. Now we'll adjust the angles of the pads and make sure that it's balanced. As you can see, this side is pulling more. We need to put more tension here. Phillips head screwdriver to the adjuster. Let's back some tension off on this side. And then we have even movement. You essentially want to make sure that your brake pad is not below the rim. You don't want it riding off of the edge of that rim there. And you want it evenly underneath the tire. You don't want the tire touching the top of the pad. Same to the other side. Essentially what we're looking for here is that the tire does not hit the brake, the rim is straight and not touching the brake pads, and that the armatures work evenly and spring back evenly. We can tuck our cable behind the spring just for aesthetics, and the front brake is done. All right, so as we work our way back on this bike, we're going to tighten up the seat a little bit. It's a 14mm. The ratcheting wrench makes it much easier. We're not going to completely lock it down until it's on the floor. Then we're going to add our pedals, which are right here. And we will grease the spindles just a little bit. We do have a right and a left. Put the right on the right side. Get the thread started by hand. Do the same to the other. It is a freewheel bike. We can pedal it backwards. Take our pedal wrench. Now as we move to the back, we'll adjust the rear brake, which at this point just seems to need a little bit of tension on this side. And by the way, I already inflated the tires to their 65 PSI recommended pressure. I've checked the pads, made sure that they're in line with the rim on both sides. Cable tension is good. The amount of pull in the handle is less than half the stroke, so we get a good stopping power. We're going to check the gears. As you can see, it's not coming all the way down evenly. Make sure that there's nothing binding the cable. We'll check the gears from the rear. As with all the drivetrains, when we're in 7th gear here, we want one click of the shifter to bring it up into the next gear evenly. And again, and again, and again, and again, and the last one. Now we don't want our derailleur to be able to go beyond that chain ring too much, so we're going to adjust the low stop screw here so that it can't go into the spokes. Then when we're going to bring it back down, we're going to check to see that it doesn't come too far off of 7th gear. Give it a little pull. Seems to be all right. We'll just see where it stops. Right about there. Check our gears again. So now that the gears are good, we're going to put the rear reflector on. All right, so now we're going to take her down. We're going to make sure the seat's at the right angle, tighten down the clamp. We're going to make sure the alignment is right, that the handlebars are going straight with the front wheel, tighten down the stem bolt. We're going to make sure that the handlebars are at the right angle and that the controls are set right. Tighten down the bolts. Make sure everything in the controls is tightened down. We're going to make sure that our axle nuts are tight. We're going to make sure our brakes actually stop the bike properly once it's moving. And this should be pretty much the end of this build. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope that you've learned a little something about how to assemble one of these. And I hope to see you again. Like, share, subscribe. Have a great day.